Good morning. Today is Friday, September 12th. It is 6:33 a.m. Central Time. I think we've had a bunch of news and stuff in the morning, and I'm just getting a jump on the day. You're gonna hit the gym, but figure let's look at the charts together and see what's going on. And so the first thing I like to check is like, hey, was there any dark pulls printed yesterday? And so if we look at, Thursday, looking at the dark pull prints on the Qs, looks like 584.49. 584s, there's two prints around there, so about 60% of it. And so you can see here at the 584 is 142 million, maybe 200 million if you kind of sum everything up, maybe even over that. And then the 580.80, we got about 100, 100 million or so. And then so if we do the 584, I did the conversion for the 584, that puts us about the 2400 level. And so if we go to the charts here really quick, so this 2400 level, which we marked here, and so you can kind of see this was at print yesterday, and prices kind of fell below that and hasn't really. It looks like overnight it fell, and now it's picking back up, and now it's kind of green again. So we'll just see how that kind of plays out. We're kind of retesting that level, and then if we look at this 580.80 really quick, 580.80. So 23869. So 23869, 23869, 869. So somewhere in this area. So it's kind of between these two. So, um, you know, I think this is a good zone for dark pools yesterday and even the day before. And then we had this one yesterday as well. So I'm just watching how price really behaves at this level that we marked. And also if we attempt to break all-time highs, I think it's interesting that we didn't break all-time highs pre-market. Like we did that pre-market all week and or not, we didn't break all-time highs pre-market all week, but we did break the high of the previous candle during pre-market all week. And then today we are not breaking the high of the previous candle. And so we'll see if we don't. We'll just see what that looks like if we don't print a new higher high on the daily today. So keeping that in mind, other thing I look at is all the flow from yesterday on the Qs. Basically looks bearish. Well, if I look at all expiry on the Qs yesterday, it is bearish. Bearish flow, a lot more put flow, in the like 8 million more, it looks like. And then if we look at the options that are expiring today, and let's look at all sides, looks bearish, more money on the put side, which is interesting. So just keeping that in mind as well. And let's see, ask Grok, like, hey, what's going on today? What are people saying about NQ? Um, it talks about some levels, which were prices kind of hanging out at, which is fine. Consolidation there. We do have this University of Michigan at 9 a.m. Central or 10 a.m. Eastern, so that's something to keep an eye on after the open. Um, And I guess people are talking about short term signals and all this stuff. I think overall sentiment is mixed, but leaning slightly bearish short term. All right. Thank you, Grok. That is good to know. And then for GPT, what are we saying? We are saying that I think we all know if rate cuts are coming. Everybody kind of neutral on all the job stuff and everything that happened recently. So bias is tilted bullish unless something surprises on the data side. So it's interesting. So Grok says a little bit bearish, and then GPT says, "Hey, we're kind of bullish today." Um, so we'll see how that pans out. And I guess on the price action, so if we let's just look at our indexes here, see how things are looking. Um, yeah, I mean NQ still looks very poised to test that all-time high and break it. We'll see. Look, we had this kind of high set here on Wednesday, did we test it? I think we respected it on Thursday, and we'll just see what Friday brings. But it looks like it wants it. Maybe it's a sweep and a fall over, or, we'll see. Or maybe we just break it strong and go. ES broke it strong and went. Super strong close there. Nice little pullback. Maybe we get back to here. This 6561. It didn't kind of push back up. But yeah, I think NQ wants the all-time high. I feel like it needs to print it. Russell. Oh wow. So Russell also printed a new high following the ES, which is cool. And the Dow. Wow. So we broke out finally. So I mean, yeah, NQ is the only one that hasn't really done it. I think it needs to do it today. So I think that's happening. That feels, if everybody else has done it, the NQ I feel like has to. So we'll see what happens. VIX sideways action. We're kind of back here. The dollar consolidation action here. Interesting. The Treasury note yields have made a new recent low, which should push the NQ up. Interesting. And the XOK broke a higher high and a higher low. So continuing with that gap up. Interesting. Yeah, man, I guess if the NQs follow through, we will go. We are going to go up, up, up. All right, let's see how our tech is doing. So we had Apple, nice little kind of pullback after that fall back. Pre-market is a little bit opening lower than the close price. So we'll see how we look. Microsoft looked a little bit bearish, kind of respecting these MAs and falling over, but pre-market it looks like we're gapping up. So we may go. So that's interesting. Amazon, nice deep pull back here, but we did break this high. Well, we did that earlier. So yeah, we'll just see. Looks pretty strong. Nice kind of safe pull back into this gap close. Maybe we go a little bit lower before we push back up, but that seems like what's happening here. Google outside candle, higher high, but then higher low, but closed on the green. So it looks super strong to me. Meta, we're basically pre-markets at the close price. We did break the low of that previous candle that broke the low of the last two previous candles. But looks like we want to hold up. So we'll see. We'll just put an alert here at the 745 if we want to close that gap or not. NVIDIA gapped up, made a higher high, higher low, but we did close near the lows. But that's just like a nice little pullback. I mean, if you wanted to go long, obvious stop is the low of the previous day. So, and everything else does look kind of, leaning towards bullish and kind of pulling back. For me, I think intraday, like we're kind of closing above these MAs. Like this is a good long opportunity, with a tight stop there. So there's that. Wow, look at Tesla. Is this real? Oh, okay. Well, it did finally break that high of Friday, May 30th and closed on highs. Pre-market, we are right, a little bit lower than the closing price. Super strong. It looks like we're going to go. The Q, ooh, yeah, so the Qs, we made all-time highs. And I think this is just regular trading hours, right? So I made all-time highs on regular trading hours. Not sure what pre-market looks like here. But that's interesting. So I think on the Qs, we were definitely going to do it. So yeah, that's what that looks like. So I guess if we look at our, let me save this. Yeah, I mean, doesn't really change my plan too much. I mean, I think probability wise, we are gonna hit the make all-time highs. I think all the other indexes have, I mean, I guess NQ will be the one to drag us down if it can't do it, but it just feels like we are. Had this dark pool level pushed down pre-market. Now we're back up, closing green. If we can reclaim that and go, this might be a launch off level. So that is something to keep in mind. I think for me, we're going to clear all these lines at the end of the week because it gets kind of crowded after a while. But let's see. So pre-market action. So we had this dark pull print. It had to had print somewhere in the morning, right? Because this price didn't show up until after 10 a.m. or 10 a.m. Central. So marked it there. So I don't know exactly when it printed, but it printed somewhere in this time frame. But then after hours, launched up to it, failed, couldn't break above it. Then we got above it, failed, hit it again, failed, all the way down here. Now we're back at it again, and so we'll just see how we go. Um, Let me put my little line here for this low. We'll definitely be watching this. Lock. And then, yeah, I guess we'll put this high, see if we can break this high here, which coincides with another level that I put on yesterday. And so we'll just see. I mean, I'm just watching to see how price behaves here. And then obviously there's lots of support level here. So we'll just see how we go. Um, I think all-time highs is within reach. It's right there. Everybody else has done it on the indexes. So NQ, like at this peer pressure, it has to do it. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, I think today we do have the news at 9 with that Michigan thing. So we'll kind of be cautious going into that. But I kind of want to see if we have some follow through today, but not want to get too greedy. I think Fridays are when I look for the follow through. I'm like, yes, I'm going to make a lot of money today. I tend to lose, and so I'm just going to keep that in mind. Just look for good setups and see how we go. But the first 30 minutes, obviously, that news is coming, so be in and out quick. And then after that news is released, let's see if we get follow through in whichever direction. But my key levels are definitely going to be this 2400s ish. And then just seeing how we behave at 23,966. And, we have our key levels, all time high, and all that. All right. Well, that's it for me. Good luck out there. And I will be back on Sunday with my weekly prep. We'll clear the chart, clear all the lines, and do it all over again. All right. Thank you.